It's a bird. It's a plane.
This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action.
This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright.
And you're listening to The Krypton Report.
Welcome to The Krypton Report, the All Things Kryptonian podcast, where we talk about anything relating to Superman, Supergirl, Krypton, DC Comics, and TV, movies, video games, comics. I am your host, Tyler, the Superman of Blue, the Man of Tomorrow. It's that time again for another entrance into the kingdom of Kingdom Come. We're back. I'm still sick. But that's okay because James is here. We're going to talk Kingdom Come issue 3. Are you ready, James? All right. And this one's called Look Up. Or is it? No, it's not Look Up. It's just Up in the Sky. Which is, my motto to life.
I was going to say, do you have the issues where it says that that's the title? I don't see it.
I have the trade paperback, and it just says Chapter 3, and it has, the cover with Shazam and all the characters, and it says Up in the Sky at the bottom.
You know what? If I got my book out, I would probably, which is issue by issue. It's not the trade.
Which is cool. I like having, the ability to both. So, all right. So the first thing we see is Shazam in a lightning storm with some scripture, which is always awesome. And we have Norman McKay talking with Spectre. And the one thing I found interesting is that I was muted that whole time I was talking.
Hey? Yeah.
Could you? Okay, I'll fix that. Sorry, people. That's what happens when you're sick. But they don't refer to it as a gulag. They call it the gulag. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not like, he built a gulag. And because even later, Superman refers to it as the gulag, this. And they just use that term. Not like the prison or the holding facility. Everybody just calls it gulag.
Well, it's a pretty serious term, from what it meant back in Soviet era Russia.
Right, I found it as a dark term. So the fact they just use that as the standard term for it, I find it very, very interesting.
And Superman wants it to be a place of rehabilitation.
Right. It's like, you don't name it a gulag and say that it's a happy place.
Right. He does want the criminals incarcerated to rejoin society, law-abiding citizens.
And and then they show us inside, and it just looks like nobody's looking at us. Like, they're in their own world. And we just have Mr. Miracle, watching over them, but it's their own world, is what they're in.
Inside the
so if you turn the page.
Headquarters?
Yeah. Yeah. The prison looks like the Legion of Doom.
Which is pretty.
Well, I like the fact that when you're seeing people in there, and since the page where we see people sitting and talking, and we see the new Catwoman who looks like she's from Alien, and then we see Count Olaf over there, the vampire.
Yeah.
That's what I was like. I was like, oh, cool! Look, it's Alien and the vampire, and then Magog is in his.
And this
cell.
clown chick looks like a girl from Rock.
Magenta?
Yeah, I think that's her name.
Yeah, that's the fun of this book, is just paying more attention to the background stuff. Once you've spent so much time reading the story and you know it in the foreground, we get the giant hologram of Superman preaching at them.
It's right, wrong. What's really cool about this place, though, is the person they're using to keep all this in. It's Scott Free, Mr. Miracle.
Which is the greatest character? Which is like one of the greatest character names
Right.
ever. That'd be almost like the person who's always getting caught. Like, what is his name? Scapegoat.
That would be.
Like, this is Scott Free's best friend, Scapegoat. And then, like, we see more people that are there. One person looks like Peace, like just an embodiment of like the 60s. And I think it's interesting because at first, when I was reading this, and it comes out, I realized it took me a moment to realize how Luther and Billy are watching the Gulag.
Yeah, what are they watching?
Right? That's what I was like, wait a minute. It's like a sphere monitor somehow, and I'm not even sure who that is. I'll be honest.
Yeah, that's my thing. Is that I've never known, never looked it up about it.
There's that cool thing in the back I was studying. It tells you all the people that are in here of the trade. But then we go and we see, this is interesting, the council.
The quintessence all power.
Highfather, the wizard Shazam, Ganthet. Someone else I'm not sure who it is.
The Phantom Stranger. And then there's the fifth one that I can't. What is it? Oh, now I'm frustrated.
Yep. Thank you, Alex Rux, for your amazing work. But we get to meet Deadman. Good old Boston Brand. Beans. We'll take Beans. I just hear Boston. That's what I think of Jim Gaffigan talking about Boston's baked beans.
It's fun.
He's like, places are known for stuff. He's like, can you just imagine being Boston? Beans. We'll take beans.
Right? Like, why is Boston beans?
Yeah. Who knows? But it's pretty interesting, just Mr. McKay talking with Boston about who he is and what his job is. And talks a little bit about the Spectre. Telling Norman to look him up when he crosses over.
Should be something you'd be like, as a religious man too, for him, that would be, what would that make?
Oh, there's a line he has in this that I love, and I'm going to paraphrase it, and I'm not sure where it's in this book, if it's in 3 or in 4, but oh well. He talks, since seminary, he's been more of a philosopher than a pastor, I think is what he says, but I thought that was a really good line.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was in, actually.
So if we get to it, I'll
be like,
oh, there it is.
Because I just remember reading it. And that's what, yeah.
Norman's a really good character.
He is.
And then we get, the next part's Superman in space. With a breather.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's when he's talking that Pastor and no, Frank. I can't imagine any, since seminary I've been more philosopher. My church to preach that God is a person, rather a force and names. It's like Ramakrishna. And that motivates us to master our.
You found it before I did. Good job, James. I like that we see Superman and Wonder Woman with breathers on.
as they're sitting outside the tower. And Clark skips rocks on asteroids. That's pretty BA.
Sure.
I mean, I wish I could do that,
Right.
right?
I like how how he's talking about somebody, how he's talking about Brainiac. Did he hear you? Actually, no, not in a airless. Actually, not in airless space. He got the message. It's funny. I almost wonder if this isn't for breathing, but maybe for Wonder Woman. I'm sure. It's more for breathing, but for Superman, I think it's actually more so he can communicate in space.
I mean, that makes
Well, because
sense.
as we get to a later point in this book, we discuss kryptonite, and kryptonite doesn't faze him anymore.
Which is one of my all-time favorite
Yeah.
parts about this
Says
story.
that the height of ability.
This is one of my all-time
Yeah.
favorite parts.
Which, in my opinion, makes complete sense. The even though he's aged, his cells have still just continued to grow strong.
Yep, it makes sense. And the
Yep.
pseudoscience it is.
Super science, it makes sense to me.
I like what Superman says here when they're talking. He's talking to Woman. He says, "Only the weak succumb to brutality." It's a very strong line.
Yeah. Well, they're discussing how Wonder Woman has been disowned by her people. She's no longer the ambassador that she was. She was disowned by her mother, and they suggest that she has failed in her mission to peace. And
Which is hard. I mean, that's harsh.
Oh,
That's hard.
absolutely.
Like,
you know, she's the
that's what they
character
did to her.
can do and be, and she's also, but like I said, she can be both. She can be that soul, and she is willing to take life if it's necessary.
Mm-hmm. That's the soldier in her. But it's interesting.
She's a complicated character, you know. Wonder,
She'd be
yeah,
difficult to write.
absolutely. I mean, she's got to be this. She's got to be this peace-loving, promoting person, but she's been trained to be a fighter her entire life. To kill without remorse when necessary. She's a contradiction to herself. So she's got to be very.
It always makes you think of that like meme of Samuel L. Jackson for Star Wars. Where like, we're keepers of the peace. Peace, MF. And it's, when he cuts
Yeah,
Jango Fett's head
I
off.
remember that.
That's what I think about when I see this. So yeah. But
Now, peace
Wonder
peace can sometimes be achieved by having the head.
I mean, just listen to Peacemaker. I cherish peace with all my heart.
Kill every man, woman, and child to get it.
Some lines that you just cannot say unless you're John Cena. Because only with John Cena does it make sense.
Well, you can't see him, so it doesn't matter.
You're like, I mean, could you imagine being on set? Like, who said that?
Right? I can't.
Like, you can't see me.
Or be like, John, see,
Anyways,
it's just your persona.
here, your peacemaker. Yeah, but who knows? You know. All right. So the next page is where we see basically the propaganda imaging that they're feeding into Billy's mind. And we're seeing how Luther is torturing him and shoving the worms in his ears. So he can't. Because it took me, like we talked about before, like for me to remember that this is Billy. He's not Shazam right now. Even though he looks like Shazam, he's not Shazam. Because in this is like Shazam is Billy grown up. Which I had to remind myself about. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's kind of, and they don't have to actually draw him too differently.
I told you before I'd love to write a Shazam story where we find out more about, like, it's like it follows this like overweight middle-aged dude who's like given up on life, and then he says Shazam and turns
Right.
into Shazam.
Yeah,
So-
whereas instead of being a kid who gets to be a grown up and have all this wisdom and strength and power, he's an older man. He's having trouble with his normal life, and every time he says Shazam, he becomes youthful again, full of energy, strong, all that stuff.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It'd be fun to write.
We got Bruce at Lex's manufacturing Batbots.
Which just the term saying Bruce and Lex together should be scary enough that you don't want to, like, that should scare you to death. You know? Like, Bruce Wayne, Lex Luthor as a team? Oh, man. That ain't working
Right.
for this one, boy.
Well, which is nice, come later on and find out that he's not actually with Lex. Like, he has a similar goal, but he knows Lex is to be trusted.
Yeah, because he's
Yeah.
Batman. Like, he knows what's up. Like, he's like, yeah, guys, come on, give me some crap. Give me some slack here. Like, guys, you know. Like,
Right?
you know.
So this is where we get to the Mankind Liberation Front. There looks to be like their NORAD bunker.
That's what I was thinking. That was like NORAD, like they got their hands on the Doomsday Clock. That was
Right.
my mind. Like, and look who all's there.
Well, we got Bruce's people. Oliver Queen, Ted Ford,
Ted Grant, I think.
can't remember the other them back in issue 2.
Dinah's there somewhere. New Kid Flash. But the one that's most interesting is a guy in a trench coat who is Martian Manhunter, who's basically broken. He's mental. He's broken. They talk about how he opened his mind to all humanity and it destroyed him. That's heavy.
Right?
it's neat how he's staying there and he's there to help Bruce with a certain assignment. And then you see the Spectre kind of raise up the facade, and we see the Martian Manhunter. So,
Yeah, which is really cool. Spectre showing McKay about who it is.
Yep.
But he's got him there. He's got Martian Man. We get to find out shortly.
Yep.
So it's interesting how Billy walks around looking like a serpent.
Yeah. And everyone's like, "Oh, it's just Billy Batson." I'm like, "Yeah, but don't they know like who Billy Batson is? If he says Shazam,
Right.
So the next part I find most interesting, where we see Superman like looking down at the world, and they're talking. They're there, and they're talking about the Flash and how fast he moves. That he actually vibrates, that he can detect the Spectre and Norman, and he actually pulls Norman out of where he is, the plane of existence he is with the Spectre. And of course, Power Woman's ready to punch him in the face.
No. She's just about to destroy some dude. About to splatter.
Yeah, I mean, and why are you here? And Superman catches her hands like, well, I'm like, Superman, you don't have to put your hands on your hips right now. You're looking at an old dude, and you're Superman, So just peel it back a notch. And he's like trying to talk to him, like, I'm here to warn you. And like, I love Alex Ross's drawings and stuff, but sometimes Superman looks a little too on his high horse. Like, and then, Norman's trying to say about what's going on. He's like, Armageddon is hardly on our calendar. These are grim days, but we have matters fully under. Holy God, says Red Robin.
Would be when he has talking like that. Nope. Spoke too soon.
He's like, Superman, calm down. We never have this stuff under control like you think we do. And then Wonder Woman takes charge. And then Superman says, why did you? I think this part right here in the story is probably when Superman's at his worst, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, well, he doesn't know everything. Like, this is a point in the story where, what he wants isn't exactly working. But he knows that he can't go down the route that Wonder Woman is suggesting here. So this is a time where we get to see Superman kind of lost in his thoughts.
Yep. And Wonder Woman's taken over because she's Wonder Woman, and that's what went in jail. They take over if you're not paying attention. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, just saying. Come on, Superman. Gotta be smarter sometimes than what you are. But I like it, and then Wonder Woman and Superman head to the UN and are trying to talk about what's going on. And this is where like I said, they call it the power keg and the gulag, and Diana says the League will be forced to take a final decisive action. And we have, the meeting where people, we see Luther put the thing in Billy's ear, and Bruce punches Luther, finally. It's what we all been waiting on, you know?
Yeah. Only you can ensure the destruction. You demolish the free and angry and erratic.
That's heavy.
Yeah. Like, they want some bad stuff to happen first.
Of course. And then they sweep, during all the confusion and everything, they step in and take control. And of course, you know, Luther tries to get away. Batman's trying to stop Billy. All the bat spots stop Luther, and Billy, of course, says, Shazam. And oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, well, he says Shazam. I mean, the way he describes what's been happening to Billy, you know, being broken, that his brain has been driven to insanity by
Yep.
to eat away at his mind. It says Shazam to become Captain Marvel again, and like that's just a dangerous combination.
Yep. Where's that wisdom of Solomon? Speaking of Captain Marvel, I just got to throw this out there, /Shazam. Since I've been sick, I was laying in bed, and Janine was by my side, and I was like trying to get motivated to get up and do stuff, and I just laid there, and I was like, Shazam! And then I started like shaking, and she just started like cracking up laughing. And I was like, what? She's like, you're so funny and dorky. I'm like, hey, I was giving it a shot.
Yeah.
Help.
Well, I sent you that bit. I sent you that
Power up,
video that me and Jimmy made at least a year ago now. Maybe to the... yeah.
I think it's 2, because it was pretty close to
right.
when the movie came out.
We made a little video of Jimmy walking up saying Shazam, transfer. Yeah, it was a pretty good little edit.
Because, yeah, just wait till it's really where it's me walking and I say Shazam and I turn into James. Then we got something to talk about. But then we go back and we see Diana putting on like her war uniform, getting her sword from Hephaestus, and it cuts Superman because his magic.
And with their gold meat armor, magic sword gift Hephaestus that can carve electrons off the mat.
That's my favorite Greek god. I always joke, like, if I had a kid and I named him after a Greek god, it'd be Hephaestus. Just because that's an awesome name to say. Screw Zeus. Hephaestus is the way to go. And then we have them basically... They're all getting ready to leave. We find out they killed Captain Comet. Don't know if I ever met Captain Comet before, but, you know. And Diana kisses Clark in a kiss completely devoid of passion. It's a final farewell, and Clark is left standing, and he goes flying to the Batcave. And this is a good argument between the two of them. Where Batman and Superman, he's like, I need your help. He says, shut up, I don't have time for your holier-than-thou cracks. You are not above all this. Not now. This has stakes this high. You're not above all this. Not now. Not with the stakes this high. And then Batman's like, the gulag's ready to blow. He's like, even as we speak, Wonder Woman and the League are outside its walls. And there they are, standing there ready to go. And then Bruce tells him the big one, Captain Marvel. And like, did anyone just forget that Captain Marvel existed? Like, nobody's been like, hey, whatever happened to Captain Marvel?
Right.
Eh.
Well, in a world where there's thousands,
Gajillions.
maybe even more superhero or superpowered beings.
It's just interesting, you know. Like everyone's like, "Oh, Captain Marvel, yeah, I remember that guy. He owes me $5."
Yeah.
You know, like so. What? And then Superman takes off, and I love the imagery of seeing him fly as fast as he is. And I love that they say, "I see Ragnarok last unfold." And you see Superman flying, and then he gets taken down by a single bolt of lightning, and Armageddon has arrived. And that's the end of the book. Good week. Hopefully next month, you know, I'll feel better, so I don't say crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this one's all like, this is, you know, like, this is the end of your second act, you know, and now it's your third act. All CGI battle.
Right. Man, just the suit, you know, suits that Alex Ross, such beautiful artwork, and like Wonder Woman's clothing, and then her golden armor and Red Robin armor stuff. Some of it looks like suits, but it's funny how Superman and Shazam's costumes look so it's old school, and almost even pajama like.
That is true. That is true. I never thought of it like that, pajama like. But yeah, the way the patterns and everything.
Yeah, they look like they look just like a cloth, a cloth little suit to wear.
Interesting. But all right, dear listeners, touch base with us. Send us an email. Let us know what you think. And get ready, because October's coming full of new surprises. Remember,